Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Enter the Gungeon. You can tell from the massive amount of hegemonic credits that I have played this game to death. I'll see you in a couple seconds. I'm not sure which is going to happen first. My death in this game or my death in real life due to the windows being closed and there being no air circulation in my room. Or the embarrassment of having to turn down the volume mid-recording session. This is just a normal Let's Play, I'm guessing. And that is a pretty interesting shrine, which I frequently overinvest in. It is possible that I will skip in the video editing process to only the interesting parts of this game. I'll see though. Now, even though I have thousands of hegemony credits, which implies that at least hundreds of runs after 100%ing the basic shop, I am not really that good at this game, as you will soon see. That item isn't bad, although 65 units of currency for that may not be a smart investment. That is a lucky free chest, but I want to check out the native chests before I decide whether or not to open that. A C tier chest in one of the item rooms. I'm not sure if it's a superstition that I have developed or a real fact, but I often find that the first chest on any floor to more often contain weapons rather than non-weapon items. The D-tier chest can sometimes contain pretty good weapons, which shall remain nameless for the time being, because I have faith that one of them will show up during this run. I am having some crazy luck. I guess this is the game's way of expressing how much it missed me for the last couple days that I didn't play it, which is a kind way of saying that the game is intentionally making itself easier for me. I'm going to open this brown chest as reciprocation for the game's kindness, and the weapon is not that great. Also, it reinforced my superstition that the first chest tend to give you weapons. I do not think that will be enough money for buying both the key and the passive item from the shop, so I will open this instead. Unfortunately, I'm not a very big fan of this weapon either. But I guess it will handle the boss for now. If I am continuously unimpressed by the damage of this weapon, I may switch to my starting pistol. Also, I reloaded at a very inopportune time. Oh, I thought for sure that I was going to lose my falls there. If not, right now. What did I say? And for the record, I did not foresee how exactly that first hit is going to happen. I just had the animal instinct that I wasn't going to survive that situation without taking damage. Now to briefly address my character choice, even though I have unlocked every single character in the game, and objectively speaking, if I want to have the best chance at winning, I should be using the Bullet, who is simply overpowered in many ways. But I am kind of sick of his starting weapon because, well, it's a long story, but it boils down to playing that character and using that weapon too much. I'm going to sell these weapons in the hopes of finding something better. I will even take this and destroy the chest. Unfortunately, I do not have enough money to sacrifice to the shrine, but if I am going to stay true to my previous declaration that the particular shrine in question is not as good as people often think it is, then I suppose this is fine. We will see if that comes to be true. Now to talk about why I don't really like the weapon I'm using right now. It's because I think the weapon has a good theoretical use in that it freezes an enemy and fires a specified projectile that deals extra damage to frozen enemies. However, when you come to think of it, all 3 shots in that case would be dedicated to dealing with a single target, and you may not be able to focus on that target because the battlefield changes so much in a very short amount of time in this game. Besides, there are enemies who are not possible to be frozen. And if you misses with your final shot, then it becomes necessary for you to reload the weapon, fire 2 more low damage freezing shots that may or may not hit anything useful, and then try again with the the shattering round. As you can see, I had to spend all 3 shots on that one enemy. Of course, it could be just a consequence of my poor planning, and maybe if I give this weapon a little more chance to be good, I will actually see how it can be useful. Also, I am completely misusing my Molotov by not using it at all, and by not permitting enemies to actually walk in the fire. That is a good example of how this weapon can be properly used. That was my fault. I'm going to save the key for now and see what I have from the other item room. That did not hit the intended target. I guess it doesn't help that I am sometimes too stingy to fire the shattering round. Hopefully that wasn't a poor decision. This weapon. I find it interesting that this weapon has two faces that are objectively different in terms of usefulness. So in this phase where it fires a single non-piercing laser, I believe it is objectively worse than the triple piercing laser. That is a decent passive item, and I'd love to have enough money for that weapon. However, it appears that it could only be possible after this boss. If I had the piercing laser there, I could have hit the boss with all 3 shots instead of only 1. And I believe the triple laser also deal more damage when all 3 shots hits the target. Unfortunately, I lost the flawless because 1, I am a little rusty with this particular enemy, and because the frame rate is suffering a little due to the recording program being run. Also, I am not using my Molotov because I'm pretty sure it doesn't work, as you can see, even though alcohol is lighter than water and should be floating. I learned, or should I say I became aware of that fact from my reading of certain books that were not intended to inform readers on that particular note. Another rather gimmicky weapon. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Also, I guess I could have avoided damage if I used my blanks. And it seems like I have exactly enough money to purchase the membrane weapon, which I think is disproportionately good for a C tier weapon. Let me try for secret rooms. I know I can shoot the walls to be sure if it's a secret room, but I'm kind of lazy. No secret rooms. You may not understand what I'm doing right now, but essentially I am adjusting my array of weapons to such an order that I can more intuitively remember where each weapon is. And the order by which I place them is by positioning weapons that are more suitable for clearing lesser enemies to the front, and positioning more anti-boss focused weapons to the back. Also, I believe the Icebreaker, as its official name says, has overstayed its welcome. That was a poorly executed evasion. And I do believe this weapon deserves the reload. Any weapons that I retire would be placed in the very back. But of course you wouldn't need me to articulate those things out loud. The only reason I did so is because I couldn't think of anything better to say in that moment. I guess if there's one benefit to the single laser is that it seemed to have a larger contact width. Essentially, it's easier to hit enemies with the large laser, or at least it's more apparent when you do so. That was some damage that I should have not taken. I am a little displeased with the way that part went, and before I know it, I am on the brink of death, so let me try not to die too soon. Avoiding that trap room would be one way to start. Oh, this is not looking very good. We survived though. I hope my voice can survive a little longer. A great opportunity to trade away these B-tier weapons in the hopes of getting something better. And we have a perfectly unremarkable weapon instead. It's essentially a weapon designed for no other reason than to satiate the developer's nostalgia, and that was unfortunate. Let me see if I can do any better now that I had the time to adapt to commentating and playing at the same time. And hopefully we will have more interesting, if not more powerful, set of item rooms this time. Or other methods of item acquisition, doesn't really matter to me. Also, if I sound like I am narrating an academic paper, it is because those are pretty much the only type of human language that I come in contact with. That's not true. Having lost my armor already in something like 2 minutes into the second run doesn't really make me feel any better, but I guess I am a little careless. I feel impelled to tell you 1,000 little details that you don't really want to know, if for no other reason than the fact that I don't really have anything else to say. The next time I listen to a Let's Play video, I will have to be taking notes. It's the funny thing about school system, which is that oftentimes you feel like learning is a boring duty until you realize that sometimes you have to do the same thing for things that you actually want to do. I'm not making a very clear description of that, and we will be seeing this item first. It's Gungeon. That to me is essentially just a HP upgrade because I don't know how to use this item effectively, but I guess that does make for good drama. Now, going back to the very poorly described notion of learning being a voluntary process, I realized this when I asked myself, what would I do if I had some sort of superpower that allows me to essentially cheat my way through life? So, for example, if I could mind control other people into accepting me or approving my work, what would I do in order to get ahead in life? And as it turns out, not very much in terms of how I might exploit that kind of power, because as it turns out, there are things that I do want to know, and so voluntary learning would be a part of what I have to do in order to achieve my goals. But that is way too boring to go on any further. Then again, it's not any different from what I was going to tell you, which is minutia about how I record and edit these videos. That house upgrade is overpriced, and I am a little tempted to sell the Gungeon item to the dude in the silver grate. Also, if I sound like I have no emotion at all, it is not because I am intentionally trying to be some sort of stoic anti-hero or anything like that. It's just because I realize that my voice cannot handle the sort of abuse that, what can I say, professional video game narrators / commentators put them through. In other words, I cannot be yelling because that will make me unable to talk very soon. This is not an easy boss to be fighting, even though some other people may disagree. If I were more sentimental, I would be telling you a story about why this kind of boss, the boss who responds to players' action, is harder for me to deal with. Lost the short-term memory for what the sentence structure was. Anyways, essentially I was going to go on a sentimental tangent about why I have trouble dealing with those bosses. But I guess you wouldn't care, so let's move on. I am willing to give this weapon a try. so I'm not going to sell it right away. However, I do not believe I will be needing the ammo drop anytime soon, so the cell creep can have that. I'd like to think that I have found a novel method of using weapons like this, which provides you with a brief period of invincibility when you reload, and perhaps I will be able to demonstrate that to you. Works better with items that, or should I say, weapons that have a longer reload time and a greater ammunition capacity. But I suppose this will do for now. See what I did there? So essentially, I'm trying to use the dodge function of this game a little less when I have items like this, and hoping that I will be able to use the reload invincibility to bypass enemy attacks. But as you saw there, it may not be something that is exactly feasible. Another chest drop. I was going to say another lucky chest drop, but I suppose I should have been more careful. I am glad though that the Mimic did not hit me with its first double damage shot. And I am going to be moving to this room in the fear that whatever item it may provide will drop into the pit. So this is Knife Shield. Unfortunately, accumulating our level of Curse quite a bit, in conjunction with the Huntsman weapon. But I think this item has its place, so... and I'm going to open this chest right away. Still convinced that there is a case to be made to try the Huntsman before I switch to another, possibly more reliable weapon. That's not the way to go. That was lucky. I was not ready to evade the projectile. Somehow that was not enough pushback to send those little slime dudes into the pit, and I am a little displeased as a result. And that was a pretty bad hit that I shouldn't have taken. I did hear someone who was reviewing the weapons of this game say that the bullet deflection function of Huntsman is not reliable. There may be a case to be made beside my own poor skill at using it. I'm not sure if that was the reloading's benefit, but I still didn't feel comfortable enough to walk through the halo of bullets. I'm going to avoid expending too many ammunition on this enemy who is essentially a sitting duck. this may be a good test for whether or not I was going to say this was going to be a good test for whether or not the huntsman's defensive ability is reliable, but I suppose it did prove that the weapon's offensive capability is quite reliable, since it destroyed that very annoying enemy in only a few shots. Coincidentally, this happens to be another very tricky boss to be dealing with, at least in my opinion. And it is possible that Huntsman would be a good fit for this fight if my theory on its defensive power is correct. But either my reflex is too slow or that it is truly unreliable as a defensive item, I have lost my flawless. That was my fault. And I should be using more blanks. Also, you can see the offensive purpose of the knife shield right there. I believe knife shield's knives actually do 30 damage per shot, which is quite a lot. And I was not reloading, which is very foolish of me. Wow, this is much worse than I thought. Very bad indeed. If not for all the health upgrades that I had accumulated, I would be very dead by now. I guess it's that time to switch weapons again. I might as well just leave the huntsman there, for it no longer seems suitable for us. This is an unfortunate room to be finding ourselves in. I stood still deliberately for a moment there because I wanted to push that jammed enemy into the pit. I am disappointed in my own performance. Wow. Okay. I guess this is where the promised drama starts. Interested to see how I would be recovering from my death if I happen to find where my lost cell is. Should having that. Let me take some time to reorganize my weapons. I think I will be using these in that order. Good start for that room. And I will be saving the knife shield for the next segment. Well, that wasn't exactly impressive. I had wished that I would be revived with more HP in tow, but doesn't appear to be the case. However, considering my fragile state, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to start using this weapon, which depends a lot on my ability to avoid damage, since any damage would be putting me very close to death anyway, so I don't suppose it really matters if... Well, I take that back. I was going to say that because I am so close to death, the next hit will come in anyway, so it would be a good time to be using a weapon that would only stop to be very good when I do take damage, but I suppose it's not like it is good right away. Anyways, I made that little diversion to be far more complicated than it needed to be, and let me see if I can cheat my way around this corner. Suffice to say that in this stage the weapon doesn't do very much damage, but I have faith in my ability to level it up. Kind of want to trading these weapons as well, just to make it impossible for me to fall back on anything else for a challenge. That is not a weapon that would save me, and we will purchase a single key, and to continue going on at very low health for no other reason than bravado. If I had any knife shield remnant right there, I believe that would have triggered the explosive barrel and have been very detrimental to me. The glass grindstone does help in a similar fashion to the the weapon that relies on me not being hit. And we do have a highly dangerous enemy who ended our last run, chasing after us. However, our weapon was level upped at last, now dealing double damage and boosting morale quite a bit. However, it doesn't mean that our run wouldn't have a chance to end right in this room, so it's not time to relax just yet. Knife shield is ready for a pinch, and I truly hope that I will have more ammunition soon, or else level up my weapon to the final level sometime soon, because I will be needing its projectiles. Okay, luckily that enemy did not deal any contact damage, otherwise I would have been dead. I'm not sure if it's a merciful design that the developers chose to not allow it to deal contact damage outright. It may be a result of the fact that that particular enemy moves really quickly. Okay, it's time to be resourceful with my projectiles, or should I say my ammunition? Never mind. I have no business going back that way. Have yet to open up any chest, and I believe this floor has better than a single-seater chest for me, so I am not going to spend my key right away. It's Cthulhu ripoff, but luckily we hit the correct clone in time. That is going to annihilate my knife count. that barrage of enemy bullets, removing a considerable portion of my knife shield. It may only have been 2 or 3, but felt like a lot. There goes another couple of knives, and the annoying enemy has been destroyed in only a few shots, which makes me happy. Even though my voice may not make you think that way. I'm not sure if it's a property inherent to myself or only my voice, but I have heard reports of me seeming to have no human emotion, but that's not true. And you don't want to hear about it anyways. We have a decent B-tier passive, but not useful in this case. And unfortunately, we will be dealing with a very challenging boss indeed. As you can see there, it almost hit me with a simple maneuver. There's no point using the knife shield defensively in this context, I believe. It may only be a personal superstition, but I think this particular boss is one of the most seemingly sentient one in the whole game. It seems to just know what I'm about to do and prepare the exact kind of attack to counter my strategies. Cursed Bullet is very good, and now I regret not having the Huntsman. I will even backtrack to acquire another level of Curse in order to increase my damage. Let me see if there is any other pots remaining. There is not, and we will be moving on after we destroy this chest. Cursed Bullet is one of the fastest way this game provides you with damage upgrades, and that's why I think it's really good. I don't want to be talking about the ideal runs I had with Cursed Bullet, because I think this series will go on long enough for us to actually witness it in action. If I'm lucky enough, it will even happen on this run. I am going to activate Knife Shield because I do not wish to lose my level of weapon upgrade anytime soon. Unfortunately, I did not set the enemy spawn pattern in the correct order there, but I suppose it no longer matters. This is one of the most difficult rooms in the whole floor, and personally I believe this floor is actually more difficult than the 5th. So I hope you can excuse me if I take a little time dealing with it. For now I am waiting for this enemy, who I just killed, to approach so that I can clear it out before dealing with the major threat. That enemy has to go, and unfortunately I missed almost all of my shots. puts another damper on my total ammunition count. I could make that statement more sexual, but I am not going to, even though by virtue of mentioning the possibility of sexual innuendo I have as good as done it. This is very much welcome. That gave me full health if you were not aware. I believe in the power of this weapon. Even though it may not surmount our existing primary weapon as a boss killer. If you think the word boss killer sounds familiar, it should, because it was not something that I made up originally. You can probably even tell who it was in particular that influenced my video game vernacular. But that person is way too famous for me to mention, because that is going to make me sound pathetic, and I do have a fragile ego. Almost took damage right there. Uh-oh, this room can be tough. We did lose our weapon upgrade. However, let us hope that it wouldn't be for long before we recover from that. Also, I guess it's a time as good as any to address the backup gun that we have going on. That item would be better with a weapon that would automatically aim itself. Also, this door, if you have never seen it, can only be entered if you have either over 100. We will definitely try to buy this item, and I will show you why in a moment. Anyways, this special door can only be entered if you have over 100 units of currency, or if you have at least one level of curse, which I do. I'm going to take the time to cheat this enemy. Did you know that you can't actually fire a weapon if your weapon sprite is stuck inside an edifice? If that made no sense because the words I chose, I will show you in a moment. So, I can fire with my weapon right now. However, if I stick my weapon into a wall, it won't fire. It would right then, but not now. Anyways, it's high time for me to purchase the duct tape, and I will show you why it is a good decision. Unfortunately, we don't have that good of a base for it to combine with, but I believe the benefit will far outstrip the negative. As you can see, we have 3 columns of bullets, because this is a bug in the game where combining the Polaris, as was the name of the weapon that I have been using for the last couple of floors, would actually cause this to happen. And so now we have a totally absurd primary weapon to use. Needless to say, a very much welcome news for somebody who is not very good at this game and had not been practicing playing it in the last couple of days. And I suppose it would also be enjoyable for you because it's so absurd and rare to see something like this on camera. I'm going to wait for this dude to come out because going in and hitting him is going to take about the same amount of time, if not more. Unfortunately, this thus means that we fire 4 shots instead of 2 whenever we fire our primary weapon. Mathematically, it shouldn't matter because it would take the same number of shots to kill an ordinary enemy if we had only the normal arrangement of shots. So for example, it took me 12 shots to kill that tanky enemy right there, but if I hadn't all 3, or should I say all 4 weapons firing all at once, it would still take me approximately 12 shots to kill that enemy regardless, so there's that. And not to mention that when I am firing all these weapons, all these projectiles simultaneously, I deal damage much more quickly and avoid taking damage myself in the process. This is another very challenging boss. Seems to be a theme of this particular run, and I kind of like it, especially given our absurd weapon. It would be a personal record if I can so easily beat this enemy without taking damage, and it appears that it will be achieved. I am quite pleased with myself. And we didn't even spend that many projectiles, which is even better. Alright. I'm actually going to purchase wax wings because I want that additional level of curse. The wax wings are not inherently cursed, but purchasing it from that particular merchant gives you more curse. I think you already know that if you are watching me play this game out of only the respect for the game, because who would want to watch a let's play of someone who is not good at commentating play a game that they're not even familiar with? That was not enough to save me from damage, but that is okay. Also, having wax wings comes with another benefit, which, if you know the game well, would already have seen. Or should I say, would already have known, / predicted, / I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to find the right word to use. Although that being said, I could also have purchased Yellow Chamber, even though I already have tons of HP. Anyways, let me try to deal with this particular person. 19 is a reasonable price. More importantly, it is a affordable one. And here's the benefit of flying. It allows you to cheat in this game. Also, I noticed now that backup gun has the additional benefit of destroying these blocks in this game. If I can squeeze through here. Somehow I spent less shots than was necessary to destroy all those targets. Impressive. And a very good weapon. Not only is it very good, I also really like using it because it is so interesting. Not to mention quite powerful defensively. So Yeah, this run is turning out much better than I thought. I am very pleased. If you don't know why this weapon is very good, well, first of all, you should have noticed that its name is a not exactly subtle reference to a cultural phenomenon. And besides that, you will see what it's mechanically good at in a moment. So I am going to be using this weapon for the purpose of room clearing. Now that I have acknowledged that I borrow my vernacular from someone else, as you can see when I reload, funny I should have mentioned it earlier this run, that certain weapons upon reloading would provide you with the ability to deflect enemy shots, and this is the best example. Well, I suppose it's not the most typical example because it does not destroy enemy shots and instead reflect them. Anyways, I think you understand. That's my excuse for not clarifying myself. Essentially, it's kind of like the... what's the story called? I learned it in a different language than English. Wow, that was stupid. Anyways, there was this story where a certain king ordered tailors to make him... is that called the king's new dress? Something like that. Anyways, there's a king who ordered tailors to make him some new dress to wear. And the tailors asked for a ridiculous price for the assignment, promising that their production would be absolutely stunning. And on the day on which the commission was due, the tailors gave the king absolutely nothing. They presented air to the king, pretending that it's a somehow invisible dress that is supposed to be really opulent, and saying that the dress has a magical property whereby only intelligent people can see the dress, and foolish people will see nothing. In that case, the king, not willing to admit being a foolish person, which he is, said that he does see the dress and that it's perfect for what he asked for. In this case, essentially the tailors pushed the responsibility of perceiving something as good from themselves to their audience, and I was trying to do the same. I was essentially saying the only reason why you might not understand what I'm saying is because you're not intelligent enough, and that is a mean thing to do. However, I do find it funny, so... oh my lord, this enemy is so annoying. And I am a tad too concentrated on talking to perform well at this game, even though I really should, given my impressive array of weaponry. Oh my lord, I can't believe I took damage right there. Wow, I sound like a different person all of a sudden. This is what this game can do to you sometimes, and I absolutely enjoy that. Man, if only I could give you a preview of that in the beginning of the video. Maybe you wouldn't be tuning out so fast. But of course, if you did, I don't know how you're getting this message. Oh my lord. Please stop being bad at this game. Wow, that was stupid. That was my slow reflex, no excuse. Steady hands. Not full hearts, but possibly still can win. I don't know what's the original expression, but I think that was close enough. Oh my lord. I still took damage. Thank God for all those health upgrades. If only I had some method of recovering health. Oh my lord, not you. Oh no, I'm kind of losing it. That was good at least. Wow, that was mean. The enemy pushed himself into the pit and revived because that enemy is immune to the pit. This is not a mimic, but we have no keys and we will destroy it. I'd actually hoped to receive hearts instead of the junk item, even though it might be good in unique scenarios. Hopefully this will at least be easy enough. Oh my lord, that was such a coordinated attack. I give that one to the enemies. Alright, I think it's time for us to get serious and whip out this weapon. Would be sad to lose on a run on which we shouldn't. Alright, no more unnecessary lingering around, because if we do so for too much longer we will probably die. And it's time to fight the final boss, so at least I will have something to show. Oh no, it's jammed. At least I will have something to show when this run is finished. I did not know those shots were immune to deflection. I might be completely losing my mind. I had to use more blanks than I am comfortable doing. Please reload. Oh my lord, this is not good. Wow. Can we do this? Now the stakes are high. We cannot use teleport. Okay, calm down. Calm down, you ignorant little boy. I believe in the power of plot significance, even though I am not positive that I am in some kind of fan fiction and would not know how I would feel about being in one, and we are dead. Okay, that was a very disappointing end to a very good run. I apologize for that, and I hope you enjoyed it nevertheless, and thank you very much for watching. And wow, I used so many ending that sentence, but I hope to see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.